Let's bring in Republican Congressman Jeff Miller. He chaired today's hearing. Congressman Miller, thanks for being here. The VA Affairs Secretary is saying that they're now losing the ground they gained on that horrific backlog on veterans' claims because of this partial government shutdown. Over 5 million checks might not go in November.
Well, you got two different questions there. One is the disability claim backlog that's out there. I disagree with the Secretary on the amount of progress that's been made. He wants to talk about the fact that the backlog is going down at VA, but he won't talk about how there is an increase in individuals that are now claiming that their ratings were incorrect, so they're appealing to the Veterans Board of Appeals. You
obviously care about veterans.
Yes.
You chair this committee because you care about veterans. Speaker of the House John Boehner in March said that he opposed linking the defunding of Obamacare to the government spending bill because it would lead to a government shutdown. Responsible members of the House Republican leadership opposed doing this because they knew it would lead to a government shutdown, because there's no way that there were the votes for it in the Senate and President Obama was not going to gut his signature legislation. Why would you go along with this knowing that it would hurt veterans and their families this way?
Well, Jake, there's a couple of things to talk about. Number one, almost 85% of the Department of Veterans Affairs is forward funded for a 2-year period instead of a 1-year period. And nobody wanted to get to where we had a government shutdown. Obviously, we knew, and I had been saying in August that we did not have the votes in the Senate in order to defund Obamacare, but certainly an opportunity to start a negotiation or a discussion with the President and Senator Reid over in the Senate, I think, was very important. But they don't want to negotiate, so they decided that they would see government shut down.
Sir, with all due respect, the original government funding bill defunded Obamacare. Then there was all sorts of provisions and follow-up bills to gut it by taking out the individual mandate. These were non-starters. These were not negotiable items. This was not something that could be negotiated. This was legislation that was passed by the House, passed by the Senate, signed into law by President Obama, found constitutional by the Supreme Court. And again, I know you care about these veterans. This was entirely predictable.
So just because you say it's not negotiable, that becomes the fact?
No, because
because
the Senate and President Obama say there aren't enough votes. The math says it's not negotiable. You don't have the votes in the Senate or in the White House, the support in the White House.
You know, Jake, we negotiate all the time. And for you to perpetuate the rumor that it's not negotiable, you're buying into what the White House has been trying to say all along.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss some sort of wonderful negotiation that's gone on in the last week in which there's been some sort of achievement in defunding Obamacare?
Oh, no, there's been no negotiation. You know why? Because the president has chosen not to do it. And look, this is but you want to go back and talk about Obamacare, it's a much larger issue. We're talking about debt, deficits, and spending that our children and our grandchildren for many years to come are going to have to pay. The president
I'm not disagreeing with you on any of that.
Check.
I'm not disagreeing with you on any of that, and I think that Obamacare has problems, and we've covered that in my show, and we will continue to cover that in the show. I just asked Senator Durbin about it. My point is this strategy, it was entirely predictable. Let me read you a letter from a...
No, let me ask you.
Sure.
Why doesn't Senator Durbin urge Senator Reid to pass the bill that the House has already passed that fully funds, not just in a partial clean CR, but fully funds military construction and Veterans Affairs? Take veterans off the table. We're not the ones that are using them as political pawns. There have been 4 bills that have been sent over to the Senate. 127 days Harry Reid has sat on the funding bill for veterans, fully funding them.
I take your point. I have asked Democrats that question. I'm not going to respond on behalf of...
And what did they say?
Their answer is, the answer of the Democrats about why they won't pass these piecemeal... Are you talking about the piecemeal?
No.
You're talking about the larger veterans bill.
Again, that's where people are getting confused. They're saying that we should not fund the government piecemeal. The fact is, Jake, if we use regular order, it is done piecemeal through 12 different appropriation bills. And we have already sent the veterans funding bill, the DOD bill, over to the Senate, and they've chosen not to take them up.
You'll have to take your question for Senator Durbin to Senator Durbin. I have not asked him that specific question, so I would be a bad spokesman for him. I do want to read a letter to you. It wasn't written to you, it was written to me, and get your response. It's from a friend of mine. She is a veteran. Her husband was killed fighting in Afghanistan. She is worried about her disability payment. She's worried about her survivor benefits. She's worried about her GI Bill. She's mad at everyone in Congress right now. She's mad at President Obama, too. She says she fought for this country. She was okay with the fact that not okay with it, but she understood her husband dying to fight for this country. She does not understand why Congress and the president cannot get together and solve this problem, so she doesn't have to worry about her paycheck. Can you give her an answer?
I sure can. And again, it's going to sound political when I say this, but only 4 people in the House of Representatives voted against the Veterans Funding Bill back in June, 127 days ago. We could solve the issue that she is most concerned about if Harry Reid would just bring that particular bill up for a vote on the floor.
All right, Congress, I gave you a promotion there. Congressman Jeff Miller, thank you so much. We really appreciate your coming in.
Thank you, Jake.